Right now, as you sit there, you are being watched, not by a person, but by thousands of pieces of high-tech metal floating 3 to 100 miles above your head. These satellites are the invisible heart of our world. They run your GPS, they handle your bank transfers, they beam your favorite TikTok videos to your phone, and they warn us when a deadly storm is coming. But there is a dark secret about the sky that nobody likes to talk about. Space isn't empty anymore. It's becoming a graveyard. For every working satellite we have, there are thousands of pieces of space junk flying around at speeds 10 times faster than a bullet. We are talking about old rocket parts, dead satellites, and even tiny flecks of paint that have the power to shatter $1 billion spacecraft into 1 million pieces. We are currently standing on the edge of a disaster called the Kessler Syndrome. It sounds like a medical disease, but it's actually a space disease. It's a chain reaction where one collision creates more junk, which causes more collisions until the entire area around Earth is so filled with flying trash that no rocket can ever leave our planet again. Imagine a world where the internet goes dark, where GPS stops working, where we can't see the weather coming, and where we are trapped on Earth, looking up at a sky we can no longer reach. Today, we are diving into the Kessler Syndrome. We're going to look at why a single bolt could end the space age, and why the trash man might be the most important job of the 21st century. This isn't science fiction. This is the countdown to a disaster. Let's get into it. To understand why space junk is so scary, we have to talk about speed. On Earth, if you're walking down the street and someone accidentally drops a screw on your foot, you might say, "Ouch," but you'll be fine. But in low Earth orbit, things aren't dropped. They are orbiting. To stay in space without falling back to Earth, an object has to travel at about 17,500 miles per hour. That is roughly 5 miles per second. At that speed, the physics of impact change completely. Think about a tiny marble. On Earth, a marble is a toy. In space, a marble moving at 17,000 miles per hour has the same hit power as a bowling ball moving at 3 to 100 miles per hour. It doesn't just hit a satellite, it explodes through it. There is a famous story about the space shuttle. On one mission, the astronauts noticed a tiny crack in the windshield. When they got back to Earth and analyzed it, they found out it wasn't hit by a rock or an asteroid. It was hit by a tiny fleck of paint that had flaked off an old rocket. That tiny piece of paint was moving so fast it almost punched through the thick, reinforced glass of the shuttle. Now, imagine there are 100 to million pieces of junk smaller than a centimeter up there. We can't see them. We can't track them. They are invisible bullets flying in every direction. Every time we launch a new rocket, like one of Elon Musk's Starlinks or a NASA probe, it has to run a gauntlet of these bullets. If a satellite gets hit, it doesn't just stop working, it shatters. And that's where the real nightmare begins. In 1978, a NASA scientist named Donald Kessler sat down and did some math that terrified him. He realized that as we put more and more things into space, the density of objects would reach a tipping point. Think of it like a crowded highway. If there are 2 cars on a 10-mile road, the chance of a crash is almost zero. But if you put 10 to 1,000 cars on that same road, someone is going to hit someone else. In space, when 2 car satellites hit each other, they don't just get a dented bumper. They turn into a cloud of 10 to 1,000 new pieces of junk. Now, those 10 to 1,000 new pieces are also flying at 17,000 miles per hour. Eventually, one of those pieces hits another satellite. That satellite shatters into 10 to 1,000 more pieces. This is the Kessler Syndrome. It's a chain reaction. Once it starts, we can't stop it. Even if we stopped launching rockets today, the objects already up there would keep hitting each other, creating more and more trash, until the entire sky is filled with a shrapnel cloud. If this happens, the space age is over. We wouldn't be able to put up new satellites. We wouldn't be able to send humans to the moon or Mars. We would be locked inside a prison of our own trash. The sky wouldn't be a window to the universe anymore. It would be a no-fly zone. A lot of people think space is just for scientists or rich people like Jeff Bezos. But if the Kessler Syndrome happens, your everyday life in Nigeria, the US, or anywhere else will change in an instant. Let's walk through what happens when the space junk takes out our key satellites. The death of GPS. You won't just lose Google Maps. GPS is used to synchronize the time for the entire world's banking system. Every time you use an ATM or transfer money with your phone, the bank uses a satellite to verify the exact microsecond of the transaction. If the satellites go down, the global financial system could freeze. The weather blindness. We take for granted that we know when a hurricane or a flood is coming. We know this because weather satellites watch the Earth 24/7. Without them, we would go back to the 1800s. We wouldn't see the storm until it hit the coast. Thousands of lives would be at risk. The global internet blackout. While most of our internet travels through underwater cables, a huge portion of the world, especially rural areas, relies on satellite internet. Starlink, for example, would be one of the first things to get destroyed in a Kessler event because its satellites are in the danger zone of low Earth orbit. We have become satellite addicts. We don't realize how much we need them until they are gone. The Kessler Syndrome isn't just a space problem. It's a civilization problem. So, how do we fix it? We can't just send a guy with a vacuum cleaner. Scientists are coming up with some of the craziest and most brilliant ideas in history to clean up the sky. The space harpoon. A company in Europe actually tested a satellite that fires a literal harpoon into a dead piece of junk, snags it, and then drags it down toward Earth so it burns up in the atmosphere. The giant net. Imagine a fishing boat in space that throws a massive high-strength net over a spinning rocket booster to stop it from crashing into other things. The laser broom. This is my favorite. Scientists want to use ground-based lasers to nudge pieces of junk. The laser doesn't destroy the junk. It just hits it with enough light pressure to change its orbit, so it falls back to Earth and disappears in a streak of fire. The Magnetic Claw, a Japanese company called Astroscale, is building satellites with giant magnets. They hug dead satellites and then deorbit them safely. The problem is money. Who pays for the trash pickup? If a Russian satellite hits a Chinese satellite, does the US pay to clean it up? Right now, there is no global trash tax, and that is the biggest hurdle. This is a problem that affects every single person on this planet, but so few people even know it exists. Most people look up and think the sky is empty and safe. They don't know about the shrapnel cloud growing over their heads. This is the end of part 1. Subscribe to the channel. We are diving deep into the space frequency to bring you the truth about our world and the universe beyond. Don't miss our next deep dive into the mysteries of the stars. Share this with your loved ones. This isn't just science news. This is about the future of our world. Send this to a friend, a family member, or that one person you know who loves space. Let's start the conversation about keeping our skies clean. The stars are waiting for us. Let's make sure we don't lock ourselves out. Thank you for watching, and keep looking up.